Hey folks, this is Charles. Glad you can join me today. We are going to get started right off here. First of all, if you can see my screen introducing the latest and greatest enhancements to Paladin Point of Sale, please raise your hands. And thank you, Joe. I appreciate it. And I know that you can hear me because otherwise you wouldn't be hearing my request to raise your hand. So let's go ahead and get started. My name is Charles Owen with Paladin Data Corporation. And we're going to be talking about some of the latest features here. Now, not everybody's going to have this feature or this set of features. It is being pushed across the United States right now. It is, I think it's made it to the central time zone, and it's continuing to go across to the east. So you should be getting it in the next week or two. If there's something in here that you need, that you are an urgent need, you may be able to contact customer service and request that they upgrade you to that latest version and kind of do a one-off on that. So very good. So we're going to go ahead and get started here. The topics today, we're going to talk about some of the new features. Now, this isn't everything. This is just a kind of a pick of the different ones that I think are going to have the biggest impact on you. Some of them are quite large and impressive updates. Other ones are very subtle, very simple. But first one we're going to talk about is turn quotes into orders with the order management tool that we've included. Also, we've added a charities feature and function as well, so you can do roundup features for your customers and for your community as well. Also on the pharmacy side, we've enhanced the system to be able to handle integrations with two different RX systems or retail and compounding pharmacy integration systems. We also integrate now with a couple of different fuel systems out there. So Fuel Master and EEE, and we'll talk about that. Also, ACH is off and running. There are many people that have it, and if you would like it, contact customer support. We'll talk about that. And then also RepeatRewards, significant improvements to RepeatRewards. One primarily that we'll be talking about is being able to just add it once, either into Paladin or into Repeat, and it flows into one or the other. Inserting new lines into quotes, one of my top features I want to talk about today, because a lot of the LBM, lumber and building material stores out there want to put information on different parts of the invoice and different line items. Also, for everybody out there, if you want to add a note, currently when you add F2 note at invoicing, where's it put it? At the bottom. But this will enable you to put it right under any of the items that you're currently working on. And for those feed and seed folks out there and anybody else that has a need to do precision numbers for both amounts, quantities, and retail pricing, we do enable you now to go out multiple decimal characters, and that's been a big one. Now that is, I will show you how that is performed as well. And then also for those who are frustrated with all of the customers having to jump through hoops to sign signatures and everything else for EMV, and also just for the non-EMV machines, there's a way to skip signatures, which can significantly increase the customer's shopping experience and improve that process. Then there are a couple other things on here, like export customer sales history into Excel. There's a few different ways that you can get lists on the computer screen of historical sales by customers, but in the past you have not been able to push that out to a media that you can work with. Now we have Excel exports available on those historical lookups, and then also exporting transaction reports into Excel. So I get that request a lot, or at least I had in the past, so we can talk about how we're going to handle that. So moving to turn quotes into orders. So what is this feature? This feature basically is being able to take a quote that has been stored, bring it up, transact partial sales, and it creates a new invoice for those partial sales and then resaves it as a quote indicating what's been sold and what's remaining on the quote. So a lot of you that are fussing with bringing up the quote, taking off those items that they're not buying, processing the invoice, and then bringing up the original quote, resaving it with those items sold, it's kind of a hassle, right? So this automates that entire process. It streamlines the operation significantly, and it lets you do partial orders and resave the quote. Very, very significant feature. And in addition to that, it will tell you when you bring it up what you've sold and what you still need to sell them in this quote. And on the bottom F6, you'll see it says autofill quantity. It's grayed out until you highlight an item, but autofill quantity, you can have it automatically fill in the balance of the order. So if there's 500 line items in here, you just highlight the entire section, just doing Control A, just like a standard select for Windows, and hit autofill quantity, and boom, takes all of the what's remaining on the quote, which hasn't been sold, and pushes it over to the quantity field. So very cool feature, streamlines your operations significantly. Play with that and let us know your feedback on it. All right, the next one, another significant feature, is called Roundup for Charity. This is completely voluntary, but it's nice. You can do things for your brand, your supplier brand, your wholesaler brand, maybe for your community, for somebody who's sick in the community. But it enables you to put up to 4 different Roundup for Charity active charities in the system. And then when it comes up, it can either be 1 or you can show up to 4. You can ask the customer, do you want to contribute to American National Red Cross, Children's Miracle Network, the local fire department, Chamber of Commerce, whatever. And it can do a roundup, or they can go ahead and say, actually, go ahead and throw $5 in addition to the roundup. And that always helps them out. So that is available. It prompts the cashier. It does not prompt the customer. The cashier can then decide whether or not they wish to ask the customer, depending on the situation. And if they do contribute, a nice little thank you note appears on the bottom of the receipt. At the end of the month, by the way, or any time on the revenue report, it actually breaks that charity out, so that you can allocate those funds specifically for that charity. So even though you're collecting them at point of sale, you can get a report at the end of the month and take those dollars out and push it towards that charity. Integrating 2 different RX systems simultaneously. This doesn't affect everybody, but for those pharmacies out there that have 2 pharmacy systems, why would they do that? Well, there's a lot of specialty pharmacies. There's compounding, there's retail, there's different types of pharmacy systems that do different things. In some cases, they have multiple pharmacy systems. So we've just enabled our integration to work with both of those. So Paladin can be the slave to the RX system, where we pass up all information and communicate in real time bidirectionally with those systems. Now we've just extended that to handle up to 2 of these pharmacy system integrations, but you have to scan each of the prescriptions for compounding and or retail in a separate invoice, because you don't want to necessarily share the information of what's being sold in the compound to the retail and vice versa. Next, integration with EEE and Fieldmaster systems. So a lot of the stores out there, convenience stores, hardware stores, those small rural towns, they may have pumps. And if you have pumps, more likely you're integrating with either EEE or Fieldmaster, which is Syntec, is the name of the company from Syntec. Those are two different controllers for fuel systems. And what we do is we are able to take all those invoices and pull them directly into Paladin. And those that are fleet card charges will go directly to and be applied to those accounts receivables for those customers. So we completely automate the process of pump to POS. This is significant for those that are doing fuel sales, and if you're interested in this and you are using selling fuel, definitely get a hold of our customer service and see if we can get you set up on this. It does record the cardholder's user ID on the receipt and invoice, so you're able to tell who's making purchases at all times. Very cool. Next, deposit checks automatically with ACH automatic deposits. So this is finally worked out to where we have two different choices. If you bank with Wells Fargo, we have an ACH choice for that. If you do not, we have an e-check feature that is offered by Vantiv, and you do not have to process with Vantiv to get this feature. It's very cool. It's a very nice feature that really helps streamline the process. It only asks them the first time for the check. After that, the check, and you put the check into the printer. It's got a little, endorsement printer has a little scanner in it. It records a routing number and the account number, and from that moment forward, you can apply payments to this check just like you do for account payment or account for your accounts receivables, as well as like a stored credit card. So it works just like that. So if you're interested in this, contact support. We can start the process and get you set up. I will tell you there's a little bit of work involved. It's not as cashier friendly, because there are some things that you have to do on your side to be able to enable this. And once it's enabled, we need to follow the process. So do your due diligence, and I think all in all, it's a great feature. RepeatRewards, what is that? How does it relate to RepeatRewards and Paladin? Well, they're two different systems. We support many different loyalty rewards programs. We believe in them strongly. We believe in trying to capture more customers is through loyalty. If you establish a relationship, an emotional connection to your customers, they're going to hopefully drive a little further, spend a little bit more money, and tolerate your bad days a little bit easier, because they know they have a vested interest in shopping in your store. So RepeatRewards is a very well-known, widely used product in just about every market segment out there. They're in hardware, they're in lumber, they're in pharmacy, they're in convenience stores, they're in stereo stores, bicycle stores, they're everywhere. And we thought it would be pertinent to provide an integration with them. So initially, a couple years ago, we came out with an integration. Now we've just expounded on that and expanded on it. And we have now tied both Paladin and RepeatRewards together, and you're able to search for customers either in Paladin and or in RepeatRewards, and based on that information, you're able to push this information one way or the other. So if it finds the customer by the RepeatRewards number, it can add them easily to Paladin without you doing anything really, just answering a question, and vice versa. If you have information in Paladin with customer information and they're not signed up for RepeatRewards, there's a button that will show up that says sign up. This is also true for RepeatRewards, our built-in program, as well as with Ace Rewards and other rewards programs that we support. So this is a new feature. It just highlights it for the cashier to look at that and see, hey, I noticed you're not signed up for the program. Can I scan your driver's license? Excuse me. Can I scan your driver's license? And just by scanning the driver's license, you can collect all that information. So prerequisite and caveat is you have to have the 2D scanners, not the 1D. So if you scan with your scanner and it's a single red line, that's a 1D scanner. But if you look at your scanner and you pull the trigger and it's an X with a bracket around it, that's a 2D scanner. You can scan the back of driver's license. Make sure you cover up the regular barcode and just aim it towards the squiggly QR code looking thing on the back of the driver's license, because it will go for the easy, low-hanging fruit first, and that doesn't have the information that you need. In addition, we've added the customer type and birthday. So the birth day and month, not year, you can put into the system. So you can determine who's buying what in your store by typing your customer. Is it a do-it-yourselfer? Is it a government agency, an educational agency? Is it a contractor, electrician, you know, so on and so forth, doctor's office, whatever. So again, this is where you can scan. Actually, at this prompt, you can scan at the first name field, the back of the driver's license, and it will fill it in. If you have existing customers that you want to sign up for RepeatRewards, you can just bring them up in the customer module and add the information, their rewards number right there, and sign them up. Okay, moving on. My favorite and the coolest feature of the day is the insert new line items and notes anywhere on the invoice, and it doesn't do just that. It does other things as well. But if you have multiple items on the screen and you want to insert a product somewhere between two others, you just highlight that line, right-click, and it comes up and it says Insert Line. You just bring the mouse to Insert Line, hit it, opens up the line. Now you can put in your new item right there. In addition, Insert Note. So as I mentioned before in the opening, you can insert a note at any time at the bottom by pressing F2, but with the right-click feature, you now have the ability to put a note under any item anywhere in your invoice. And then for your convenience, we added the F3 function of delete line item to this right-click, as well as profit and list, if you have privileges, and then footage calculator as well. And then, yeah, so you can still use those function keys and alt keys and control keys to get to the delete line, profit analyst, and calculator, but it's just conveniently put on this screen so you can easily access it. So I think this is going to help a lot of folks out, and I'm excited about that one. Also, I'm excited about this particular one. It's called Adding Precision to Line Items. So on that same right click, there's an Add Precision. When you click on Add Precision, it brings up quantity and price, and you can see the quantity actually extends it out 4 decimal points, and the price extends it out 6 decimal points. I went ahead just for this example, put 1.825. Its price is $16.99 per each, but the extended price for 1.825 is $31.01. So you can either increase or decrease the quantity or increase or decrease the price. Either way, the precision feature is available for both of those fields. When you are done, there's an invoice note on the bottom, which you'll see right here on this screen, which shows you the new quantity and or the new price with the extended cost, showing the calculation and how it got to that point. All right. Let's move on to signatures. So how do you prevent and reduce the amount of time it takes somebody to actually check out using a credit card? So there's one thing that you're able to do now, and that is to remove the signatures for both non-EMV as well as EMV. That's the chip reader card. And there's actually a function, if you jump to the very bottom, says allow signature to be skipped, that will skip the signature. Now, also, you have the ability above that on the top item to enable a threshold for no signature. So you can say anything under $100 or $50. Don't ask for a signature. I'm willing to take the risk on that, and that is going to improve your customers' checkout experience, I think, tremendously. I've seen somebody who recently invoked this particular feature, and literally they're just putting the card in. The cashier checks them out, they pull the card out, and that's all there is to it. They don't put anything in. It's very nice. Now there's a bonus on here. I added this because this is something that kind of slipped through the cracks. It's something that's in the system for those account customers that have an account that you can use the put on charge button. Well, what if they use a credit card and you still want to manage their projects, or you still want to manage their authorized signers because it's maybe a stored credit card with that particular contractor or vendor? That being the case, if you check that enable auth signer for credit cards on file, what it will do is it will pop up just like when you select the charge button. It pops up with memo, account signer, as well as project. Well, you can have the same thing happen if they're a charge account customer. That's the prerequisite, and they're using a credit card, either stored or not stored. I think it's either. It pops up that box, and you can put in the memo, you can put in a PO, you can put in the project, and you can put in the authorized signer. It's a very, very cool feature that just kind of slipped in. A couple other last things on here that I find some little things in life that excite me here, and this is one of them. When you're in invoice and quote, and you go to advanced lookup, F1, you press the history button or use page up, page down to traverse over there. You can click on find or hit enter twice, and you'll get all the invoices. Now, these are line items and invoices. If you notice on this list of the example, it shows invoice 410, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, because there's 5 items on that particular invoice. So this shows everything they ever purchased. Now, the nice thing about this is this is all sortable. You can sort by part number, by description, by invoice number, and by price sold. All the headers up on top you can sort. Now, this is great information, and in the past, all you can do is look it out on the screen. You couldn't even copy paste it. So what we've added is, down below, report summary and also report detail. The report summary is nice because it combines all the like products and just augments the quantity. Well, what if I sold it for 2 different prices? One day I sold it for $1, another day I sold it for $1.15. It's okay, because on that line item where it consolidates all the quantities into one field, it shows a lowest price and the highest price. So it actually shows you that there is a range potentially of the items that you're selling. Great report. And the detail report as well is great as well. It actually goes in and shows every line item and exactly what price you paid for that line item, duplicating those like products, of course. And this is nice because if you want to go in and see kind of the buying habits of your customers, this report gives you that capability. So you can zero in on specific customers. If you notice, I've selected just broken contracting for this customer. So you must select the actual customer, bring up this information just by either, you can actually put in a particular invoice as well, but it's just great to grab everything they've ever purchased. And I think this goes back about 2 years in history is what I'm thinking. And you're able to see this information and put it into an Excel spreadsheet and slice it and dice it any way you want. All right, the next one, which I get a lot of requests for, is, can't we just push the transaction report out to an Excel spreadsheet? Challenging, but we did it. The caveat is, in some of the criteria that search criteria was left out because it's such a broad range of information that it just made sense to, number one, limit it to a month at a time, and number two, give you every line item and information that you ever wanted on that. It's a number of columns, but you can whittle it down to which information you need. It also breaks down all the different tax municipalities as well, puts those in there, and it really gives you a lot of information that you may want to play with in Excel. And this is the report that you can use to do that. Now, do we have additional settings and selection criteria? Just the date range. And again, date range has to be within a 31-day segment because there's just an abundance of information. You can also choose to either show invoice notes or not show the notes. So not showing the notes obviously just gives you the meat that you want. But if you want the potatoes too, you can get that by clicking on show invoice notes. And to run it, very simple, just press the F12 button. It spawns an Excel spreadsheet, just like the previous screen in invoice and quote, and you're done. So that is it for the different features today. I don't see any questions at this point, but you're more than welcome to type in questions. If you like, I could also unmute you and you can speak. If you want to do that, just flash your hand up a couple times and I'll see a flashing hand. I don't see any questions at this point. Don't see any flashing hands. Well, to get more information on this, you'll see that I've got a number of links that you can see here. And these are all titles of different webinars and or knowledge-based articles. Now, this particular webinar will also be posted in the next couple of days, and you'll be able to rerun this as well if you're interested, if you had to run out and came back for this. And but there's also additional reading on this. Lots of information on the Repeat Rewards, Charity Roundup, turning quotes into orders with the Order Manager. Lots of good information there. Now, you can also get this information, as always, when you bring it the Paladin product. You get the splash screen that pops up there. Those are the features and fixes. You can actually search on any one of these things. So if you want to search Order Manager, for example, that would come up on the screen. You'd be able to look at it. We show you the pictures, all the documentation necessary to learn about that product. Same with Charity Roundup feature. So again, if you didn't hear me in the beginning, this update's coming. A lot of you have it. I would say about a third of the U.S. has it today. As it makes its way across the states, we always start in our time zone first, just to make sure that it's well vetted before moving to the east. But you should have it in the next couple of few weeks at the most, I would say. And I appreciate your time today. We periodically have these webinars. I think we're doing a couple a month now. I think the next series will could be a drill down into each of these features because there's really a lot of information here. But we've spent about 28 minutes this morning. I really appreciate your time. If you have any questions, you can always call Paladin. And my name is Charles Owen. It's been a pleasure. I hope you have a wonderful day. And I will sign off now. Goodbye.